I knew my ex-wife Zoe was bisexual, and I didn't have any issues with it. I also knew my sister June was gay, but she had other girlfriends. I never had any reason to think something was up until I discovered Zoe cheating on me with June. I found out this had been going on for years, even before we got married, or were even officially boyfriend and girlfriend. This was devastatingly painful to me. I would have done my best to be accepting if Zoe ended our relationship the responsible way by explaining to me that she wasn't in love with me anymore and dated June after. But the fact that they had been lying to me for years, and Zoe led me on with the hope of starting a family when she never actually intended to, is what tore me up inside. Zoe and June refused to understand my pain at all, and had the attitude of, why should we have to apologize for being in love? Most of our family agreed with Zoe and June, because we spent most of our childhoods in non-LGBT-friendly area, so they didn't deserve happiness after all that? It's not that they don't deserve happiness, it's that I want at least some acknowledgement about how wrong they were to lie to me. The few family members on my side were focused on homophobia, and not Zoe or June lying to me. We were once extremely close, but now I am low contact with them to the point of only talking in emergencies. I was offered a position for a better paying company across the state, and I took it. I have a girlfriend, Peyton, and am close with her family and our friends, but I had barely talked to Zoe or June until they reached out to me. They were acting friendly over text, like, "Hey Mikey, how's it been? How was St. Lucia? The photos you posted look so fun." I asked what they wanted. They responded, "So sorry about that," and explained that it's about my nephew, Charlie. Charlie has attended a local daycare, preschool center, but now Zoe and June are looking at a Montessori school because Charlie is an artist, and they say it would be extremely beneficial to his development if he attended. They told me since I have a ton of money just lying around, because of my job, I could help with my nephew's tuition for at least the first few years. I told Zoe and June, how about instead you either find an ATM that you didn't lie to and cheat on, or pay for it yourselves. I don't care he's my nephew. I will not be doing anything for Charlie because you both aren't even sorry for what you did to me. Peyton, her family, and our friends support me because I don't owe my nephew private school anyway. But my family are saying that I was cruel to say that about my nephew because he has nothing to do with what happened, and I am not acting like a good uncle. So now I'm conflicted. Not the a-hole. If the rest of your sister's family wants him to go to a private school, they can pay for it themselves. Not the a-hole. Please, please, please do not be conflicted. You are the victim in this. Your sister, your family, was happy to lie for years and sleep with your partner. You don't go back from that. You should be no contact. They shouldn't be seeing your photos on social media. When she did that, she decided she wasn't your sister. Second, your nephew is not dying of cancer and looking for money for treatment. He's not homeless and living in the streets with his mothers. They just want a different school. He still has an education. They just want more, like they did before. They are just entitled human beings, and now they are spinning it as you not being a good uncle and poor Charlie. No, you are not his uncle. Your sister decided you two were not family. Charlie is not suffering. He is an artist. Now, most of us grow up with parents who can't afford private school. We don't go demanding money from others. The kids just go to normal schools. Honestly, cut your whole family off. You have a wonderful new partner in Peyton, and get on well with her family. They are your family. Focus on them. Family doesn't have to be blood. It's the people we choose. Not the a-hole. Your sister and Zoe chose to have a child, and they are responsible for his education, even if they hadn't wronged you. The fact that they lied and cheated behind your back for years only makes their request even more outrageous. Wait, you should pay for Charlie's Montessori school just because you have money? Charlie isn't your son, so you owe him nothing. Regardless of how his mom and her partner treated you, you don't owe your nephew fancy preschool. Why can't he go to regular public schools? Not the a-hole. They decided to have a child, and it's their responsibility to pay for what he needs, not yours. And they have a lot of nerve asking you after what they did to you. My nephew was at our house recently and stole $20 I had on our counter. We have a space where we put our car keys, wallets, spare change, etc. I had a $20 bill next to it all. I never carry cash and had the $20 bill laying out to remind me I actually had cash. Anyway, when my brother and his family left, the $20 was gone. I texted my brother that unless he took it, then it was his kid, my nephew, that stole the $20. He said he talked to his son, and his son said he didn't do it, and was pissed at me for accusing his son of stealing. I said I probably misplaced it. I know 100% it was there when he and his son stopped by, and when they left it was gone. For the record, his son is 10 years old. Later that day, I get a text from my niece, the 10-year-old son's sister, that she saw him with $20 and asked where he got it. He said he took it from Uncle, my name, and asked that she didn't tell anyone. I sent a screenshot to my brother and told him I was right. My brother and his wife and my nephew came back to my house to give me the $20 and apologize. My wife and I were talking before they came over, and we decided we were not going to give him the birthday present we got him. His B-Day is in a week. When they arrived, he was crying and real sorry. I think he was just scared and sorry he got caught, hence the tears. He knew we were getting him one of those $300 hoverboards for his B-Day, and he was real excited for it. We told him that stealing from family is extremely thoughtless and mean, and our punishment was no hoverboard. He started bawling like crazy and throwing a huge fit. He begged us to get it for him, and we said no. My brother and his wife started yelling at my wife and I because we were punishing their kid, and they need to do the punishment, not us. They insisted we give him the hoverboard for his B-Day because he said he was sorry. We both said, not a chance in hell is he getting a gift from us this B-Day after stealing money from us. He can wait till Christmas for it. They left all pissed at us and aren't talking to us now. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I wouldn't give the little crap a $300 present at that point either. I wouldn't give it to him for Christmas either. He'd be getting socks or underwear from me for a few years. Not the a-hole. I mean, is this really even a punishment? It strikes me as the natural consequence of his actions, and that's how it should be explained to him. I'm usually very generous with you because I want to see you happy, but when you stole from me, that made me feel taken advantage of, and no one wants to give things to people who take advantage of them. So it's just natural that if you steal from someone, you can't expect that person to want to go out of their way to do things for you. Sidebar for your consideration. A $300 gift seems very expensive for a 10-year-old from anyone other than his parents. That kind of excess might help create an "it's owed to me" mindset. Not the a-hole. But it's kind of weird to announce your punishment. Like, the kid came over, said he was sorry, and your response is, "Okay, now for the punishment portion of this exchange." It would have been far more appropriate to explain that you wouldn't be buying him the hoverboard anymore because your feelings are hurt, and that he stole your money and then expected to be given an expensive present, and that's just not cool. I think he has more of an opportunity to actually learn a lesson that way, as kids tend to shut down when they feel punished. I dated my ex, Jeff, for almost a year. He was one of those dudes who was so amazing that I genuinely asked him a month in what his secret flaws were, and even then he was honest with me. I kept an eye out for these issues, and sure enough, I find out I'm pregnant. Yes, we took precautions. He insists we keep the baby and make it work, then completely shuts down. He doesn't ghost me, but he pushed me away hard until I said enough was enough and ended it. He still wants to co-parent, he says, but I am now 30 weeks along, and he hasn't told any of his friends or family. I find out through mutual friends and social media that Jeff got back with an old girlfriend from years ago, 2 months ago. I thought it was one of his jumping into things too fast, but whatever. I want him to thrive and be happy, and that isn't my business. Lo and behold, they announced their engagement yesterday. They're very involved in their church, and we were all in our early 30s, so it's not really so shocking to have such a quick engagement. But still weird to me. She and I aren't buddies, exactly, but her family is close to his family, so we met a couple times and are friends on social media. I immediately messaged her, congratulated her on her engagement, and this is where I suspect I might be an a-hole. Told her it was very kind of her to date and marry someone who is having a child with someone else. I also said I was grateful it was her, because I think she will make a great stepmother to our child, and I fully meant it. She replied quickly that she had no idea, thanked me for informing her, and last I saw, she took down all the lovey-dovey posts about them as a couple. He is raving mad, like blowing up my phone with "how could you" texts, calling me vindictive. This is from a man who would take 3 days to reply to my messages concerning our unborn child. Since he lives a few hours away and doesn't come to appointments, I will text him updates and ultrasound pictures. He says I had no right to tell her, that it's his news to share if and when he sees fit. I haven't replied yet, but obviously he thinks I am the a-hole. I think his new girlfriend had a right to know exactly what she was getting into. I also assumed that he told her, but knew there was a chance that he didn't. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole at all. He was deceitful towards her, and she has 100% right to know before marrying this guy his whole truth. What an a-hole, honestly. Not the a-hole. People deserve to know the full situation of the people they're gonna marry. And if he hadn't told her before she got engaged to him, he probably wasn't gonna tell her till something forced his hand. Not the a-hole. And also, kind of my hero. Even if what you wrote to this fiancé wasn't totally genuine, it was kind and the right thing to say in that situation. You left plenty of room for this woman to stay with him and co-parent. You also saved this woman from unwittingly agreeing to be a stepmother. That was also kind. You're 30 weeks pregnant with a child he told you to keep. Tell anyone you want. I've been with my fiancé for 5 years. His mom passed away 2 years into our relationship, and at the time, we weren't engaged yet. I've always gotten along with everyone in his family, except his mom. She's made it clear that she didn't like me very much, and that I'm not welcomed in the family. She even implied that our relationship is probably not going to last, because we are too different. I've always been nice and cordial with her, though, and most of her hostility towards me was indirect, so nothing ever escalated. My fiancé was for the most part oblivious about this. Fast forward to last week when he proposed. I knew he was planning to, but I had no idea that his mom left her ring for him to propose to his future wife with. I said yes, obviously, but after a few days, I told him that I wanted my own ring and not his mother's ring. He said that the ring meant a lot to him, and I said that I understand where he's coming from, but his mom wasn't all that kind towards me, and a ring is a big deal to me. I told my sister about this incident, and she said that I was being difficult and selfish, and that I shouldn't be speaking ill of the dead, and that I should have considered my fiancé's feelings and costs when making that request. I just don't want a constant reminder that I'm unwanted on my finger, and I genuinely don't think I made an error here. He has a brother, and he can pass the ring down to him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're the one who will have to wear the ring for the rest of your life, and it's supposed to be a treasured reminder of the love you share with your partner, instead of a reminder of someone who didn't like you or treat you well. I see why your fiancé feels sentimental about the ring, though, so maybe you could compromise by using the same stone but in a different setting, so the ring still feels like it's yours and not his mother's. Not the a-hole. An heirloom ring is a lovely thing, for some people, but it's not always the ring someone wants to wear forever, and that's valid. Whatever your reasons are for not wanting this ring, you should love your engagement ring. It's not like you've told him he has to spend all his savings on it, just that you want something that's just for you. And like you said, his brother can have it. I actually did have a reason to say this. My husband has a middle-income job and I stay at home. We have a 4-year-old boy, and his sister is a single mom with a 6-year-old boy, his cousin. She lives in public housing, and my husband gives her about $300 per month, which I found out about a year ago by looking at his bank statements. This amounts to thousands of dollars per year. Something that has always annoyed me is that she spends what I see as absurd amounts of money on items for her son that he will quickly outgrow. Since he was 2, he's worn triple-digit price tag sneakers. And for his 2nd birthday, she got the whole family together and got him a cake that she told me was over $200. I see that as a waste of money for people of our income level, let alone her own. Recently, we were all together at my in-laws' house, and her son tried to dunk on mine by making fun of him for getting clothes from Goodwill. Obviously, he is too young to know better, but this is just stupid. My own parents were middle class, but we shopped at Goodwill because it's a good deal, and it's stupid to be ashamed of it. What made me mad was that after my son got visibly upset, my sister-in-law started laughing too, like it was a cute little kid thing. I said, "Well, you only have nice clothes because your mother is stupid with the money my husband gives her." Cue sister-in-law screaming at me, and husband looking awkwardly at the floor. He is non-confrontational, and me passive-aggressively smiling until we hightailed it out of there. One of the things she yelled at me during the confrontation was that I'm lazy and don't work. It's true that I don't work, but I keep our household spending down by cooking budget meals and carefully planning our budget each week. The whole incident was pretty upsetting, but she's been known to be aggressive towards me in the past, and I didn't like that she was enjoying the opportunity for her son to be mean to mine, when thousands of our own household income are going into hers each year. Everyone sucks here, all 3 adults. You should not have dragged a 6-year-old child into this bitterness over money. It's between the adults. He might have behaved badly towards your son, but he's barely old enough to tie his shoes, and he's not responsible for his mother's poor decisions. If you have an issue with the money your husband gives his sister, raise it with your husband. Don't just lash out randomly at the most powerless person. Everyone sucks here. Oh wow, a lot to unpack here. So you, a grown woman and mom, thought it was okay to trash talk a 6-year-old's mom to him. Granted, that 6-year-old should not be picking on your son, but you should have age-appropriately told him to be nicer and then talk to your sister-in-law. Secondly, your husband should have told you he's giving money to his sister instead of you having to find out in his bank statements. Not cool to hide something like that from your wife. That's $3,600 a year. Thirdly, you and your husband need to communicate about this money. Your sister-in-law's actions, her attitude and cruelty to your son, should have consequences. Fourthly, let's not police your sister's spending. Your husband gives that money to her as a gift, and it's really crappy when people add strings. If you resent what she spends it on, don't give her money. Problem solved. If you're worried about how this will affect her son, then buy him a few needed items she can't pawn or sell, or offer to pay for some of his school or doctor bills. Everyone sucks here. If she feels she is so superior for having nicer things, she obviously doesn't need your husband's support. But if you feel so sour over it, maybe have that convo with your husband instead of involving your kids. There was definitely a better way to handle that.